The Galactic Imperium Council convened under the shimmering dome of its central chamber, a mosaic of countless alien species represented in vivid holographic detail. Their subject of debate was the same as it had been for weeks: Earth, a small, unremarkable planet orbiting a middling star. To most in the galaxy, the mere mention of it elicited a mix of curiosity and disdain. But for the Council, it was a growing problem, a rogue death world defying their authority. A rotund Trivalian delegate clicked its mandibles, addressing the chamber. Earthlings have ignored our ultimatum. A death world species wielding primitive technologies dares to challenge the Imperium's supremacy. This insult cannot stand. Murmurs rippled through the council. The Trivalian's words mirrored the consensus among the Imperium's ruling class. Deathworlders, species that survived on planets classified as hostile due to extreme environmental conditions, were known for their aggressive tendencies and unpredictability. But Earth's reputation exceeded even that of the infamous Class 8 predators of Varnock 4. Earth was a Class-12 Deathworld, a designation so rare it bordered on myth. Another delegate, this one from the serene, aquatic Enid race, floated forward. Perhaps caution is warranted. Historical records indicate that Deathworlders often resist with unprecedented ferocity. Their biology and psychology are unconventional. The Trivalian dismissed the warning with a wave of its appendage. Their biology is irrelevant before our fleets. Do not mistake isolated incidents for strategic competence. They are primitives. Their insolence will be crushed. The Enid hesitated, but said nothing further. Their species had long been part of the Imperium, a pacifist culture drawn into the fold by necessity rather than desire. They knew well the futility of dissent against the militaristic ambitions of the Council. A hologram flickered to life in the center of the chamber, displaying Earth's planetary profile. The planet teemed with diverse ecosystems, from vast deserts to dense rainforests, its weather patterns erratic and unforgiving. The Imperium's analysts noted the resilience of its dominant species, Homo sapiens. They adapted to nearly every environment on their planet, from the frozen tundras to searing deserts. Their capacity for innovation had led them from stone tools to space exploration in a fraction of the time most species required. Despite this, the Council saw Earth's defiance as a challenge to its authority. The Imperium had subjugated hundreds of worlds, some far more advanced than Earth. Why should a death world species prove any different? We underestimate them at our peril, murmured an elderly Sylvan delegate, her voice barely audible amid the din. Her words were ignored. A final vote was cast. The decision was unanimous: war. A fleet of the Imperium's finest ships would descend upon Earth, quash its resistance, and annex it into their empire. The council chambers erupted into applause, the delegates congratulating themselves on their inevitable triumph. As the fleet prepared for departure, a veteran commander of the karate species lingered in the hangar. He had faced Deathworlders before, and the scars that laced his reptilian skin were testament to their tenacity. Quietly, he muttered to himself, "They won't go down the way you think. No Deathworlder ever does." Amid the wreckage of fallen Imperium vessels, Earth's leaders convened in a secure underground facility. They didn't celebrate their victories, nor did they rest. The mood was focused, calculating. Humanity had no illusions about what they were up against. This was a battle of survival against a vastly superior enemy. And survival was something humanity excelled at. Dr. Elena Voss, a leading strategist, addressed the room. "We're not fighting their ships. We're fighting their assumptions. They expect us to play by their rules. Let's show them why that's a mistake." Humanity's strength wasn't in its technology. It was in its ability to adapt, to think laterally, to turn every disadvantage into an opportunity. Earth had survived its own hostile environment for millennia. Now, that same adaptability was being unleashed against the Imperium. In orbit, the remnants of the fleet tried to regroup, but humanity didn't give them the chance. Small, nimble spacecraft, modified from commercial shuttles, launched surprise attacks, targeting key systems with precision strikes. These makeshift fighters weren't faster or stronger, but they were piloted by humans, individuals trained to think independently, to improvise in real time. The Imperium's rigid chain of command couldn't keep up with the chaos. On the ground, the Imperium soldiers faced an enemy they couldn't understand. Human fighters moved like shadows, using terrain, weather, and even the psychological impact of constant attacks to wear them down. A squad of elite alien warriors found themselves bogged down in a swamp, their advanced armor rendered useless by the muck. Meanwhile, human snipers, camouflaged to blend with the environment, picked them off one by one. But it wasn't just physical combat where humanity excelled, it was in their ingenuity. Engineers repurposed outdated technology, turning museum pieces into weapons of war. An old satellite, once used for observing weather patterns, was reprogrammed to crash into a critical enemy vessel, disabling its main reactor. Farmers turned agricultural drones into airborne mines, and hackers continued to wreak havoc on the Imperium systems, spreading disinformation and misdirection. The Imperium's greatest weakness became painfully clear. They underestimated humanity's collective will. Earth wasn't a singular entity, but a patchwork of nations, cultures, and perspectives. What the Imperium saw as chaos was, in truth, a symphony of resilience. Where one strategy failed, another rose in its place. Diversity, once seen as a weakness, became humanity's ultimate weapon. Amid the conflict, there were moments of grim humor. A human broadcast intercepted by the Imperium showcased civilians joking about the invasion, mocking the aliens' grandiose demands. For a species born on a death world, this was just another Tuesday. The psychological impact of Earth's unyielding spirit began to take its toll on the invaders. For the first time, the Imperium soldiers hesitated, their confidence shaken by an enemy that refused to break. Back aboard the Imperium's flagship, Grand Admiral Zillick stared at the battle reports in disbelief. His forces weren't just losing, they were being outwitted, outmaneuvered, and, worst of all, outlasted. Humanity's tenacity was unlike anything he had ever faced. He began to understand that this wasn't a war they could win through sheer force. Deathworlders didn't just survive, they thrived under pressure.